spoke of your favorite house and the day that you were wed. Didn't want to die in a hospital bed. And all the things I wish I'd said.
Welcome back to Inside City Hall. That was musician Joe Hurley singing about the damage left by the storm in the Rockaways. Of course, the famous opening of Charles Dickens' Tale of Two Cities begins. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times, and that could arguably summarize the state of our city since the hurricane hit the 5 boroughs. This Thursday, Joe and 2 of my next guests will be honoring the author's 200th birthday. It is Charles Dickens' 200th birthday at an event that will benefit people living in the Rockaways that were affected by the storm, of course. Joining us to discuss A Dickens Christmas for the Rockaways are musician Joe Hurley, who has sung with the Chieftains, and he helped record the audiobook of Keith Richards' autobiography. Also with us, Alfie McCourt, the author of the memoir A Long Stone's Throw, and Dana McCoy, who is co-producing and performing at this event. I should also mention that our own Bob Hart will be part of this as well. And tell me what brought this about. You were already planning a charity event, right? And then you decided to make it for the Rockaways. But the underlying event is actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, Errol, it was Lucinda Dickens Hawksley is a dear friend of mine, and she's the great-great-granddaughter of Mr. Charles. And it being the 200th anniversary, she's been all over the world traveling with her new book. She's the novelist herself. And so we managed to get one night from her on December 6th in New York. And it was originally going to be for an orphanage that Dickens founded himself 150 years ago in London. And once the storm hit and we got our electricity back in New York, I have strong family ties in the Rockaways and Breezy, and we went out there and started slowly in trucks and friends, and everybody came in, and I finally reached her on the phone, probably in Thailand, Japan, I don't know where she was. And I didn't have to say much in Dickensian spirit without even having to hear anything. She said, "Joe, I know, and let's change the whole thing."
And this is fascinating to me. I mean, Alfie, does Dickens as a novelist, does he still sort of speak to us today? Is it somebody that you sort of look back to as you're doing your work?
Oh, I think he does. Well, obviously he's the great-great-grandfather of our modern-day Christmas, as far as goodwill, generosity, and even, to use that terrible right-wing word, redemption, but in the sense of people getting a second, even Scrooge got a second chance. I wish to God we could send around the Ghost of Christmas Past now, but we'll have to forgive him. I remember growing up, we had a real sense of Oliver Twist in our family, in our circumstances. So many people do. I think he will live forever. He's immortal, his writings.
Dana, tell us a little bit about the event. What is it? Music, readings? What's it going to be like?
All the above. It's at a beautiful theater downtown in Gem called Theater 80 on St. Mark's, and it's an intimate setting. And we will have, Joe is of course going to sing. Lucinda's going to tell the story of why her great-great-grandfather, I think there's even one more great in there, wrote A Christmas Carol. And then we'll have Colin McCann and a lot of wonderful, Mary Norris of the New Yorker magazine, who also is writing a fabulous book, but she's going to do a reading. And I think these guys, Alfie, will all be reading parts of Christmas Carol as well.
Okay, very good. And you mentioned family ties to the Rockaways. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that song actually that you just played a piece of from a live performance, oddly enough, or bizarrely, is coming out in a couple of weeks. That's recorded last year, and it's about my dad's passing, and so I have a lot of family and friends in the Rockaways and Breezy, and when we released the single in mid-December, we're benefiting to buy the song. It's going to go straight to the Rockaways charities that we're helping out, and it's devastating out there seeing going to my dad's old building, my relatives checking in on friends, and seeing the burnt down debris of what was once a great family gathering at Christmas, or you know, my dad and I biking on the boardwalk. It's the boardwalks, you know, up 100, 200 yards away right now. And I thought, but I've never seen so much spirit and kindness and empathy from everybody working out there. We started with a few people, and then our team grew larger and clothes drives. But when the people are out there, it's with beaming faces in the way that children are delighted by a Christmas carol, you know, because even Ebenezer turned out a good geezer, you know. I mean, it's you see the greatness in everyone, and that's lifted the spirits. And you know, it was once the Irish, well, it's always the Irish Riviera. You know, 100 years ago, the firemen from Ireland came up. It was built by Irish firemen, and Breezy Point was the most devastated. Lost more firemen than any town anywhere, and it's, you know, for the people there and for family and friends, and what better way to give back. Dickens wrote his novels for societal reform. Oliver Twist, they ended up pulling down all the workhouses and making the impoverished conditions for children better. So I think Dickens would approve, as Lucinda said, that he might not have set foot in the Rockaways. I'm still researching that,
but his progeny did. And you know, the physical infrastructure is gone, but it sounds like the community infrastructure is alive and well.
That's a good lead into our charity, the Greybeards. They're all members of the community of the Rockaways. They're firemen and policemen and some accountants and lawyers, and these men have come together to try to put the community back together.
They call themselves the Greybeards.
The Greybeards.
Okay, sounds established.
Yeah.
It is.
And what will they be doing?
They started right after 9/11. Well, they're doing it every day. They're out there helping, rebuilding, digging, clearing up the sand, the houses. I mean, there's, like a lot of people are, but they're very organized. They've been doing it for a long time. They're community leaders out there, and we're also benefiting the Breezy Point volunteer fire department. Their story was extraordinary, what they did that night, as all firemen are. And so the night itself, of course, will be. There'll be songs from Oliver. There'll be readings from Dick. When Lucinda talks about what inspired him to write A Christmas Carol, no one knows that story except for her, and it's inspiring in the way that the work out there that everyone's doing is, and with Bob Hart there and National Book Award winners and Oscar-winning actresses. I mean,
sure. What more could you want?
Well,
let me tell everybody where they can see this. The Dickens Christmas for the Rockaways. It's going to be this Thursday, 7 p.m. Theater 80 St. Mark's. That's at 80 St. Mark's Place in the East Village. And to purchase tickets for the event, you go to ovationtix.com. Okay, very good. We're going to thank you all for coming in. Best of luck with it. Raised a lot of money. And I look forward to this bicentennial. It's very interesting, Dickens. We're going to take a break now. I'm going to be back in a minute with the results of tonight's Snap Poll and a preview of tomorrow night's program. Stay with us.